The worst part about content creation is staring at that blank page and not having a clue what you're actually wanting to write about. What if your content could help you write those first drafts and actually allow you to get the ideas that you're having on a weekly basis out of your mind and onto somewhere that you can actually use? SOFTR just released their AI agents. Today I'm going to show you how you can turn your content databases into your marketing assistant so that you can essentially use things like your notes, your structures, your summaries, and even calls that you're having, turn them directly into content using solely AI that stays directly in your databases. This is going to save you an incredible amount of time, and I'm going to show you how you can do it yourself. Maybe a little bit unaware of AI agents and AI workflows and what those could be. AI agent is essentially following instructions that you have related to things like tone or description or things that you want them to actually be performing. You can give it a certain persona if you would like to, even Darth Vader if you really wanted to, or you can give it something that can basically become an employee or an assistant inside of your business. If you're also new to SOFTR, it's a platform that will turn your business data into things like client portals and your internal tools. There's also 14 different data sources that you can connect to, and they've got tons of things that are in the pipeline to become even bigger in this space. I've collaborated with SOFTR on a few of these recent videos, and I've genuinely been loving the stuff that they've been pushing. SOFTR was something that I used prior to working with them for their clients. The fact that they wanted to work together on things like this, it was an absolute no-brainer for me. If you also want to try it out yourself, you get a free month on the professional plan if you just use code Ellis at checkout, and I'll leave a link in the description for you to do that too. I also noticed the room is pretty bare, and that's just because I'm getting new furniture and everything is kind of changing in the house as I'm going through the process of purchasing it. So it will probably be a bit bare for a while, but we'll get there in the end. Get into SOFTR itself and actually start building these fields, and I'll show you how you can do it for your content. SOFTR now, when we are inside of our databases, you'll now see there's the ability to see the AI agents. And essentially the difference between this field and the others is you can start to put all of your settings inside of here using GPT or Claude models, as well as being able to run at specific times. When we're looking at things like the statuses or descriptions, you're obviously using specific properties for those things. AI agents are essentially taking that a step further and using some of the things that we have inside of our databases to then give us more information. And that's exactly what we're going to be building today. We're going to be taking a content planner with information inside of there. We're going to be adding some form of description tool where we can actually copy and paste certain things that are going on. And then we're going to trigger the AI agent to run specifically when something is either triggered. We could do it manually as well. We could run it as a button if we were wanting to do it, or we can do it when certain things are updated. So we could have it when certain descriptions are updated. Let's actually just first start from this plain database view. And what I'm going to do is, following along with what we've been doing previously, I'm actually going to import from a CSV of using my old content planner. So we're going to be importing the data just from the previous content planner, and it will bring in all of the areas, which again, it's already incredible how easy and quick it is to actually bring in data into SOFTR itself. And there was a video I watched about someone doing the 1 million records, and even when you were getting down to the 100,000, 200,000 records, it was still loading pretty quickly for everything that you were wanting to do. And the fact that this was just taking it in instantly with everything that I've already created is incredible. We have now our content database, just everything that's sort of going on. Now from this area, if we're going to add a new piece of content, obviously we could just add the new content inside of here. And we're creating the new content, we're scheduling it, we're getting the stages, we're just kind of following along suit of what's going on. We can have tons of things that are in here, content to be repurposed, and a lot of other areas if we're wanting to add them. The important part of this is understanding that if we are going through everything that we've kind of got inside of our databases, inside of what's going on, we don't have the ability, unless we're using third-party softwares, to actually bring AI into here. And that's why the AI agents are going to be really important as you move forward and as you get more busy with things that are going on. If I were to put a piece of content in here, I'll just fill this out to show you sort of what it's like, is maybe a client managed to increase productivity by 50% in 3 days. And then from here, we're obviously scheduling it. We're putting the stages in of what's going on the platform. Maybe this is a LinkedIn post that I'm wanting to do. It's going to be writing finished at the moment. We can maybe add a platform to it. Doesn't need to be repurposed at the moment. We obviously need to link them and any content ideas and things that are actually going on. So we would be filling all of this in and actually trialing it to see how we would get on and how things would go. So now what we want to do is we actually want to start bringing in the AI agents to help us fill this in more or use information that it's already got in order to give us better information back. What I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this one and put it AI agent, just so that it can give us more. And you can see here that we have the ability to then add in what we're wanting to do. So we can first let the AI autofill this field if we're wanting to, and allow it to manually add inputs. So inside of this prompt, we can also use templates SOFTR have given us in order to actually break that down further. So we can get it to summarize, categorize, write, extract, translate, and this can be great on a multitude of levels. You know, if you've got tickets that are coming in for apps that you're using and you have them in different languages, you can then get it to prompt it. Now we've got in here the models that we can use as well, and you've got basically all of the models available that you would want to do. And the costs at the side, obviously, just like anything that you're using, better models that you're going to be using or the faster models that you're going to be using, they're going to cost more. So if you want to see a little bit more into the pricing and the additions of that, in the AI credits, you can get these based on the pricing. So obviously with the AI credits, you can get 5,000 a month. You can add more, $10, you'll get 10,000. So again, it follows suit in a lot of the other competitors and what you're actually doing for these. Obviously with the database AI agents, even using the free one, you would be able to ask AI and actually have the database AI agents for the 500 credits a month. So it would just be about how much you would actually be using this. And if you're adding teams and you're adding people onto it, this is where it would be important to understand what you're actually doing with that. For now, what we're just going to use is the GPT 4.1 just as the sake of it. Now, what we want to have in this text itself is potentially some hooks that we could use for this particular AI agent. So obviously, client managed to increase the productivity by 50% in 3 days. Maybe I want the prompt to be something that's going to help me come up with potential other hooks that I want to be using for that piece of content. What I've done actually using AI is I've went and created a template of what I could actually use for the prompt. So being my creative hook generator, I'll give you a draft title inside the database. On my personality, create 3 to 4 alternative hooks and how I communicate. And then I've given it a little bit more of my personality and a little bit about the job that I'm doing and what I'm wanting to actually try so that it's only going to return them. At this point, you can also add in the web search if you're wanting it to search the web for particular things that's going on. And now we can also see as well that the run when can be triggered at certain points. So we can have it when an existing thing is updated. We could have it maybe when the stage is changed to a particular area. So when the stage is updated, we could also do it when we put the title as a certain area as well. And we can run when the filters match. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the stage and then we're going to put it as the ready to post. Maybe that's probably the best one to do. And at this point, that means that it's only going to run when the stage is at the ready to post area. We're not running the automation, we're not running the AI prompt every time that we're doing a piece of content. It's only when we change it to a certain stage. This is definitely something that you could then change inside of your stages, where you could change it to like AI agent. And that means if you're wanting to do it automatically and on that basis, it means that when you're finished your writing, you're able to change that. Let's see then if we run the content AI agent. I'm going to expand this a little bit further. I'm going to run the AI agent with the client managed to increase productivity by 50% in 3 days. So we'll see all the things that it's managed to come up with. We've got how my client doubled output in 3 days, productivity up 50%. Here's the real system, no fluff, fastest way I fixed their focus. And then 3 days, 50% more done, simple, honest breakdown. So obviously if we were to go further in depth with the content AI agent and actually give it a prompt further, we could produce far better results with what we're looking to do. But even as a starting point, this is a fantastic way to actually go, because what I would look to be doing here inside of this prompt is give it some of my best hooks that I've ever used, actually use those as the information that it can follow. Again, AI prompting is only as good as you can actually make it. So the more that you refine this, the better that it's going to get. What this is allowing you to do is actually break down a little bit more of what you're doing, what you're producing, and what you're actually looking to create inside of your content. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to create a second one where inside of that AI agent, I'm going to make it more related to a YouTube title that we're maybe wanting to create from the piece of content. You know, you're wanting to generate me YouTube titles for what's going on, make it short, sharp, and to the point. And I'm actually going to allow web search in this one. Now, what I'm going to do for here is I'm just going to have it triggered manually at the moment. And that means that, you know, I can trigger it when I'm wanting to trigger it, but you can set this up to trigger when certain things happen. So if you're thinking this on a larger scale where you've got maybe your title for what's going on inside the database, you're actually writing out your content, you could take this a step further for what you're wanting to do. What I'm going to do to show this on more of a full basis, I'm actually going to copy one of my posts that I've actually made, and we're going to run it through the content agent here. So our hook for this one is, one of the biggest misconceptions about business systems is that it will solve all your problems. And I've put the content I've created inside of here. So now if we're going for the content AI agent, we're going to fill this information using the prompt that we're doing, and then we're also going to run the one with the YouTube titles. So it's going to give us a few hooks of systems won't fix everything. Here's why. And then stop dreaming, systems won't save you, crushing the biggest myth in business systems, and what business systems cannot do for you. And then inside of the YouTube titles, we've got think systems fix everything. Think again, the brutal truth about business systems no one tells you, and why most people are getting business systems totally wrong. So there's a good few titles here that are actually not a bad start. I messed around with this for probably 5 minutes to actually just have an AI agent inside of my content helping me actually understand, could I turn this into a YouTube video? Could this post that might have done well turn it into a YouTube video? Because if you're creating your content system and you're actually analyzing what has good performance, what has good engagement, you're going to be able to then have good YouTube titles and potential hooks that you could use for future content. A lot of people obviously talk about repurposing content and using the content that works best. Then you just change the hook up a little bit here and there, and you give the AI agent the ability to actually do that. You could simply copy all of the text and just change the hook with what you're wanting to do every 30 to 60 days. If you're creating formulas in here as well, where the content could be repurposed every 60 days, you could then see when those 60 days happen, generate me the YouTube titles, generate me the hook ideas, and that's going to give you what you're looking for. The final thing that I'm going to show you is if you were to copy in a little bit more information, if there was a lot of information that was happening, a lot of information that was in there, we want to distill down and turn into content. Because if we were taking it from something like our call notes database, then that might be quite important to do and to actually have. So instead of the name, what I'm going to change it to is call notes. And again, this is just going to be the information inside of the call notes if we were wanting to do that and that was wanting to be the case. And I'm going to add an AI agent. I'm going to name this the content ideas. And again, we're going to fill in a prompt of what we want it to do. Again, just like before, we're getting the call content strategist. We're not making this anything crazy. I have literally just asked ChatGPT to bring me up some of the things that I'm wanting to do as we want to test this. So again, we're going to allow web search for this to be the case if we're wanting to, and we're going to just create this field. So now I'm going to copy a call note into here and all the transcript into here and see what we can get from the content ideas. I also think is amazing from this is that we can actually add fields inside of the databases themselves. But the call to content strategist, and I'm going to give you the raw transcript and notes, and the key is to actually summarize that and give me ideas of potential content angles that you could take. So what I'm then going to say is use the information in the transcript from, and then we're going to use the call notes area. And that is then going to allow it to use what we're actually looking for. So what I've done is I've just copied in a transcript that I've used, I think it was like a month or so ago, from one of the clients, and we've just changed the call notes to the description so that we could change it a little bit. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to run the AI itself to be able to see how we get on. So again, all that I've asked it to do is kind of give me what's actually happening and what's going on. So Sarah is drowning in chaos, juggling leads and onboarding, centralizing everything in Notion, and build the plug and play templates will slash our busy work. So in here, we've now got your business shouldn't live on sticky notes, drowning in leads, here's why you drop the ball, stop repeating yourself, build a system that thinks for you, onboarding shouldn't steal your life. These are pretty good content ideas. And over time, the more calls that you have, and even bringing in some of the potential workflows that SOFTR is going to be releasing soon into here, you're going to be able to have all of your databases running directly through SOFTR, where you can have your content ideas from your call notes. Your actual content itself can give you ideas from your YouTube and for your other platforms, even if you're doing email, if you're doing SEO blog posts, anything like that. You can start to use the AI agents inside of SOFTR itself to actually provide you with that information. This can be used for so many things as well, but it's important to realize, like any AI thing, it's actually just helping you get the initial insight to what you need to do. You need to look at how you improve it, how you make it your own, and then how you turn it into what you're wanting. With this new update, you're then able to not have to think so much about what's going on in your content, what's going on in your work, and actually just getting to the point of taking action, putting things out there, and getting yourself more clients or more leads through the door. Again, if you're wanting to try SOFTR free for a whole month, just use code Ellis at checkout and you'll be able to try all of this yourself using the AI and seeing how it works for you. I've got a few other videos on SOFTR that I'd highly recommend watching. I'll leave one of the videos on the screen right now. So I'll see you there so you can push your knowledge further.